The lead flight attendant snatched my amenity kit in first class, accused me of not belonging here, and told the cabin I might be a trafficker. When I finally said she'd assaulted a federal agent and nearly let a terrorist succeed, she scoffed and said, "You could have just shown your badge." I stayed silent. That was 14 months ago. Last week, she sat in a parole hearing, crying that she'd just been doing her job. I'd been working undercover for 72 hours straight, tracking a credible threat across 3 connecting flights. I looked exactly like what I was pretending to be, an exhausted woman in wrinkled clothes. My unwashed hair was pulled back in a messy bun, and I wore an old college sweatshirt specifically to blend in with economy passengers. What the flight attendants didn't know was that I had a loaded Glock secured under my oversized hoodie and was the only thing standing between them and a suspected terrorist in row 23. The crews on my other flights hadn't given me any trouble, but this one turned out to be a whole different ballgame when the lead flight attendant Violet looked at my boarding pass for first class, then at my appearance, and her smile turned plastic. "Are you sure you're in the right cabin?" she asked loudly enough for other passengers to hear. Sometimes the gate agents make mistakes with upgrades. When I confirmed my seat, she held my boarding pass up to the light like she was checking for counterfeit money. My jaw tightened, but I stayed silent. I needed to maintain my cover without losing sight of my suspect boarding behind me. Violet followed me to my seat and immediately started questioning how I'd gotten the upgrade. Miles? Corporate status? Or did you sweet-talk someone at check-in? Before I could answer, she turned to her colleague Harper and said, "We need to verify this with the gate. She doesn't look like our typical first-class passenger." I sat down and started to pull out the complimentary phone charger when Violet snatched the entire amenity kit away. "Let's wait until we confirm you belong here," she said. "These retail for $200 and we can't have them disappearing." The businessman next to me shifted uncomfortably as she basically accused me of theft in front of everyone. Harper brought pre-flight champagne to every first-class passenger except me, making eye contact as she deliberately skipped my seat. Then she loudly asked the businessman if he wanted to switch seats since he probably wasn't comfortable sitting next to someone who didn't belong there. Violet noticed my worn backpack and pulled it out without asking, claiming it needed to be checked. When I reached for it, panicking because my badge and weapon authorization were hidden inside, she held it away and started going through the external zippers. "What are you hiding?" she asked. "Drugs? Alcohol?" I managed to grab it back, but now she was treating me like a criminal. She called for the male flight attendant and asked him to stand guard near my row because she suspected I might be trafficking something. "Watch her hands at all times," she said loudly. "These people often work in teams." When I shifted to keep eyes on my suspect, Violet announced to the cabin that I was making passengers uncomfortable. She actually asked everyone in first class to raise their hand if they felt unsafe with me there, and when a few people hesitantly did, she used it as justification to call the captain. The captain came out looking annoyed, and Violet immediately painted me as a security threat. She forced her way into first class, won't let go of her bag, keeps watching other passengers, and became aggressive when questioned. The captain, clearly wanting to get back to flying, authorized them to take whatever measures necessary. Harper returned with zip-tie restraints and announced they were detaining me for suspicious behavior. When I kept my arms at my sides, Violet grabbed my wrist and tried to force it behind my back. "Stop resisting," she said loudly, making it sound like I was fighting